Workshop at 6:30 on a Tuesday morning, sanding the curved leg of a dining chair someone from 2 towns over had commissioned. The radio played something forgettable. Coffee sat cold in a chipped mug his wife had bought at a craft fair 5 years ago. He didn't throw things away. The phone rang. He almost didn't answer. Calls before 7 were either bad news or telemarketers, and he had enough of one and no patience for the other. Mercer. Is this Caleb Mercer, the carpenter? The voice was sharp, urban, impatient. Depends what you need built. A deck, maybe more. I bought a property on the north shore of the lake and it's... She paused. It's worse than I thought. He switched off the sander. You get an inspection. I bought it as is. That's usually a mistake. I'm aware. There was no humor in her tone. Can you come look at it today? I'm booked till Thursday. I'll pay double your rate. Caleb set down the sandpaper. People didn't offer double unless they were desperate or difficult, and neither was good for business. But his truck needed new brakes, and his son needed new shoes, and Pride had never bought either. Address? She gave him a number on Lakeshore Drive he didn't recognize. The old Callaway place, probably. Nobody had lived there in a decade. I'll be there at 9. Thank you. She hung up before he could say anything else. He looked at the clock. Enough time to finish the chair leg, wake up his son, and make breakfast. Routine, structure, the only things that kept the days from bleeding into each other. Upstairs, he pushed open the door to the small bedroom where his 7-year-old son, Jamie, was still buried under a quilt that used to belong to his mother. Hey, bud, time to get up. Jamie groaned and rolled over, his dark hair stuck up in every direction. It's still dark. It's April. Sun's lazy. Caleb sat on the edge of the bed. Come on, pancakes. That got him. Jamie sat up, rubbing his eyes. Chocolate chips? If you brush your teeth first. The boy scrambled out of bed, and Caleb watched him disappear into the bathroom. He heard the water run, the too-fast scrub of a toothbrush, the slam of a cabinet. Life at 7 was loud and graceless and good. He went downstairs and started the griddle. By 8:30, Jamie was on the school bus, and Caleb was in his truck, heading toward the north end of the lake, where the houses got bigger and the people got quieter. He didn't work up here often. The summer people hired contractors from the city who charged twice as much and did half the work. But they had websites and business cards, and Caleb had neither. The Callaway place sat at the end of a gravel driveway that hadn't been graded in years. The house itself was a sprawling craftsman-style relic with good bones and bad windows. The wraparound deck that faced the water sagged in the middle like a broken spine. A black SUV with city plates sat in the driveway. Caleb parked beside it and got out. The air smelled like pine and wet earth. The lake stretched out flat and gray under a sky that couldn't decide if it wanted to rain. The front door opened before he knocked. The woman standing there didn't look like someone who belonged in a house with rotting steps and a roof that probably leaked. She was maybe 30, sharp-featured, dressed in dark jeans and a sweater that looked expensive even though it was plain. Her hair was pulled back tight, no makeup, no jewelry. She looked like she was trying not to be noticed, which was interesting because everything about her screamed someone you should notice. Caleb Mercer? That's me. Serena Vale. She didn't offer her hand. Thanks for coming. He nodded and followed her around the side of the house toward the deck. She walked fast, like she was used to people keeping up. The deck was worse up close. Boards were split, railings loose, support beams rotted through in places. It was a miracle nobody had fallen through. Caleb crouched down and pressed his thumb into one of the beams. The wood crumbled like wet cardboard. When's the last time anyone maintained this? No idea. I bought it from an estate sale. The previous owner died 8 years ago. He stood and brushed the rot off his hands. You're looking at a full rebuild. Support structure's compromised. Can't patch this. How long? 3 weeks if the weather holds, 4 if it doesn't. And cost? He did the math in his head. Materials, labor, disposal. 15,000, give or take. She didn't flinch. When can you start? Thursday. I've got a chair to finish. I'll pay you 20 if you start tomorrow. Caleb looked at her. She wasn't blinking, wasn't negotiating, just stating terms like she was used to people saying yes. You in some kind of hurry? I need this place livable, quickly. You planning to live here? Is that relevant? Helps me know what I'm building for. She looked out at the lake. I'm staying for a while. I don't know how long. There was something in the way she said it. Not evasive, exactly. Just unfinished. All right, Caleb said. I'll start tomorrow. Good. She turned toward the house. I'll have coffee ready at 7. I bring my own. Suit yourself. She walked back inside without another word, and Caleb stood there on the deck that was about to become his problem, wondering what the hell he'd just agreed to. The next morning, he showed up at 6:50 with his toolbox, a thermos, and a truckload of questions he wasn't going to ask. Serena was already awake. He could see her through the kitchen window, standing at the counter with a mug in her hands, staring at nothing. He unloaded his tools and got to work. The first step was demo. He pulled up the old boards one by one, tossing them into a pile near the driveway. The sound of splitting wood echoed across the empty lake. No neighbors, no traffic, just him, the house, and a woman who clearly didn't want to talk. Which was fine. He wasn't much for conversation either. Around 8, she came outside with a second mug of coffee. You drink it black? He looked up. Yeah. She set it on the porch railing. Let me know if you need anything. Will do. She went back inside. He worked until noon, then ate lunch in his truck. A sandwich Jamie had helped make the night before. Peanut butter with too much jelly, wrapped in foil. He watched the lake while he ate. A heron stood in the shallows, still as a statue, waiting for something that might not come. When he went back to the deck, Serena was sitting on the front steps with a laptop. You work from here? He asked. Not really. Then what are you doing? She closed the laptop. Trying to figure out what I'm doing. He didn't know what to say to that, so he said nothing. The silence stretched. You live in town? She asked finally. About 10 minutes south. You grow up here? Couple towns over. Moved here after I got married. You still married? The question landed like a hammer. He kept his eyes on the beam he was measuring. Widowed. I'm sorry. It's been 3 years. That's not very long. He looked at her then. She wasn't offering platitudes or trying to fill the space with sympathy, just stating a fact. No, he said. It's not. She stood and went back inside. Then the days fell into a rhythm. Caleb arrived early. Serena stayed out of his way. Sometimes she worked at the kitchen table. Sometimes she sat on the porch with a book she didn't seem to read. She didn't talk much, and when she did, it was about practical things. The water heater, the roof, the front gate that didn't latch. She didn't ask about his life, and he didn't ask about hers. But he noticed things. She didn't get many phone calls, but when she did, her voice changed. Got colder, sharper. She'd walk to the far side of the property where he couldn't hear, and when she came back, her jaw would be tight. She didn't sleep well. Some mornings he'd see her out on the lawn at dawn, barefoot in the dew, arms wrapped around herself like she was holding something in. She ate like someone who forgot meals were supposed to happen. He'd see her at 2 in the afternoon with toast, or at 9 at night with nothing. On the 5th day, he brought an extra sandwich. You hungry? She looked at the foil-wrapped bundle like it was a puzzle. I don't want to take your lunch. I made 2. She took it, unwrapped it slowly, turkey and Swiss. Nothing fancy. Thank you. They ate on the half-finished deck, him sitting on a sawhorse, her on an overturned bucket. The lake was calm. A couple of kayakers drifted past in the distance. You have kids? She asked. A son, Jamie. He's 7. What's he like? Loud, funny, terrible at brushing his teeth. She smiled, just a little. Sounds like a good kid. He is. Does he know what you do? Yeah, he helps sometimes. Hands me nails, makes a mess. That's sweet, Caleb shrugged. Keeps him busy. What happened to his mom? He set down the sandwich. Car accident, black ice. She was coming home from her sister's place. Serena didn't say she was sorry again. She just nodded. You blame yourself, she said quietly. It wasn't a question. Every day. Even though it wasn't your fault. Doesn't matter. She looked at him. Yeah, it does. He didn't know what she meant by that, but something in her voice made him think she wasn't just talking about him. By the end of the first week, the old deck was gone and the new frame was up. Caleb worked faster than he'd expected. Maybe because the job was straightforward, maybe because he didn't mind the quiet. Serena started bringing him coffee in the mornings without asking. Always black, always hot. "You don't have to do that," he said. "I know." One afternoon, Jamie got off the bus early because of a half day, and Caleb brought him to the site. The boy climbed out of the truck with a backpack nearly as big as he was, eyes wide at the sight of the lake. "Whoa!" "Stay off the deck," Caleb said. "It's not done." "Can I go to the water?" "Long as you don't go in." Jamie dropped his bag and ran. Serena came outside a few minutes later. She watched the boy crouched at the water's edge, poking at something with a stick. "That's Jamie?" "Yeah." "He looks like you." "Poor kid." She almost laughed. "Can I say hi?" "Sure." She walked down to the shore. Caleb watched from the deck as she crouched beside his son, saying something he couldn't hear. Jamie showed her whatever he'd found. A rock, probably, or a piece of driftwood. She nodded seriously, like it was the most important thing in the world. When she came back, Jamie was grinning. "She's nice, Dad." "Yeah?" "She said I could come back and look for frogs." Caleb glanced at Serena. She shrugged. "If that's all right with you." "It's your property." "It's a lake. It doesn't belong to anyone." Jamie tugged on Caleb's sleeve. "Can we, Dad?" "We'll see." The boy ran back to the water and Serena stood beside Caleb, watching him. "He's a good kid," she said. "He's the only thing I didn't screw up." "I doubt that's true." "You don't know me." "No," she said, "but I'm starting to." The second week brought rain. It came in heavy and mean, drumming on the roof, turning the driveway into a mudslick. Caleb worked through it the first 2 days, but by Wednesday the wood was too wet to seal and he had to stop. He knocked on the door to let Serena know. She answered in sweatpants and an old t-shirt, hair down for the first time since he'd met her. She looked younger, tired. "I'm calling it for the day. Wood's too wet." "Okay." He should have left, should have gotten in his truck and gone home, but something made him stay. "You all right?" She blinked. "Why?" "You look like you haven't slept in a week." "I haven't." "You sick?" "No." "Then what?" She stepped back from the door. "You want to come in?" He hesitated, then nodded. The inside of the house was sparse. A couch, a table, a couple of lamps. No pictures. No personal anything. It looked like a place someone was passing through, not living in. She poured 2 mugs of coffee and handed him one. They sat at the table. "You don't have to tell me," Caleb said, "but if something's wrong—" "I used to run a company," she said. He waited. "A tech firm. We did data analytics for corporate clients. I started it when I was 24. By the time I was 28, we were worth $200 million. "That's impressive." "It was." She wrapped her hands around the mug. "Then I found out our CFO was running a side deal, selling client data to third parties, illegal, dangerous. I reported it to the board." "And?" "And they fired me." Caleb stared at her. "For reporting fraud?" "For making noise." The CFO was connected. Old money. Board members owed him favors, so they flipped the story. Made it look like I was the one who'd orchestrated the whole thing. That's insane. That's power. "You fight it?" "I tried. Got buried in legal fees, smeared in the press. My own lawyer told me to settle and disappear." "So you came here?" "So I came here." The rain hammered the windows. Caleb didn't know what to say. He'd built houses, fixed decks, sanded wood until his hands bled. He knew how to solve problems you could see and touch. But this was something else. "I'm sorry," he said. "Don't be. I'm not the victim here." "You didn't do anything wrong." "Doesn't matter. The story's already written." "Then write a new one." She looked at him. "You think it's that easy?" "No, but I think sitting here waiting for it to get better isn't going to work either." She set down her mug. "You're kind of blunt, you know that?" "I've been told." "I like it." They sat in silence for a while. The rain slowed. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For not treating me like I'm broken." "You're not broken. You're pissed off." "Yeah," she said. "I am." The rain cleared by Friday, and Caleb finished the frame. He started laying the deck boards, fitting them tight, checking the level obsessively. It was good work, the kind that would last. Serena spent more time outside now. Sometimes she'd bring her laptop and sit on the porch. Sometimes she'd just watch him work. "Can I ask you something?" she said one afternoon. "Sure." "Why do you do this?" "Build things?" "Yeah." He drove a nail home. "Because it's the only thing I'm good at." "I don't believe that." "Believe what you want." "You're good with your son." "That's different." "How?" "Because I love him. That's not skill, that's just—" He stopped. "I don't know. Survival." She was quiet for a moment. "You ever think about doing something else?" "Like what?" "I don't know. Something bigger." "Bigger than raising a kid?" "I didn't mean—" "I know what you meant." He looked at her. "I'm not ambitious, Serena. I build decks. I go home. I make dinner. I read bedtime stories. That's my life." "And that's enough?" "It has to be." She didn't push, but something had shifted. On Sunday, Jamie came back to look for frogs. Serena met them at the driveway, and Caleb almost didn't recognize her. She was wearing jeans and a flannel shirt, hair in a ponytail. She looked normal, human. "You ready, Frog Hunter?" she asked Jamie. The boy nodded eagerly. They spent an hour at the water's edge. Caleb worked on the railing while Serena and Jamie crouched in the mud, flipping over rocks, searching for anything that moved. At one point, Jamie let out a shriek of delight. "I found one! I found one!" Serena laughed, really laughed, and it was the first time Caleb had heard that sound from her. When they came back, Jamie was soaking wet and covered in mud. "Sorry," Serena said, grinning. "Don't be," Caleb said. "He needed this." "So did I." They stood there, the three of them, and for a moment it felt like something Caleb hadn't felt in a long time. It felt like family, and that scared the hell out of him. That night, after Jamie was in bed, Caleb sat on his own porch with a beer and tried to make sense of what was happening. He wasn't stupid. He knew what this was. He was falling for her. For a woman who didn't belong in his world, who had a life somewhere else, who was only here because she was running from something she couldn't outrun. And even if she felt the same, even if this wasn't just loneliness and proximity, what then? She'd leave. She'd go back to the city, back to her company, back to fighting battles he didn't understand. And he'd be here. Still widowed, still building decks, still surviving. He finished the beer and went inside. But he didn't sleep. Because for the first time in 3 years, he wanted something more than survival. He wanted a second chance. And he had no idea if he was brave enough to take it. The deck was nearly finished by the 3rd week, and Caleb found himself working slower than usual. Not because the job was difficult, but because finishing meant leaving, and leaving meant going back to a life that suddenly felt too small. He told himself it was about the money. The job paid well. Why rush it? But on Monday morning, when he pulled into the driveway and saw Serena sitting on the porch steps with coffee already waiting, he knew he was lying to himself. She handed him the mug without a word. Their fingers brushed. She didn't pull away as quickly as she used to. "Sleep any better?" he asked. "A little. That's something." "Yeah." She looked out at the lake. "I've been thinking about what you said, about writing a new story." "And?" "I don't know if I can. The people who did this, they're powerful, connected. They've already destroyed my reputation. If I push back, they'll come after what's left." "What's left?" "My money. My freedom. Maybe worse." Caleb set down his mug. "You think they'd hurt you?" "I think they'd bury me so deep nobody would ever find me." "Then you go to the police, the FBI, someone." She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You think I didn't try that? They have lawyers, Caleb, expensive ones. Everything they did was technically legal, just deeply unethical." "So you hide here forever?" "I'm not hiding." "What do you call it?" She stood. "I call it surviving, same as you." The words hit harder than she probably meant them to, because she was right. He'd been surviving for 3 years, going through the motions, building things for other people while his own life stayed frozen. "Fair enough," he said quietly. She turned to go inside, then stopped. "I didn't mean—" "I know." I'm not good at this. At what? Talking to people who actually give a damn. He looked at her. Maybe you need more practice. Something flickered in her eyes. Maybe I do. She went inside and Caleb picked up his hammer. Tut. That afternoon, Jamie's school called. The kid had thrown up in the cafeteria and needed to be picked up. Caleb wiped his hands, grabbed his keys, and headed for the truck. Everything okay? Serena called from the porch. Jamie's sick. Gotta go get him. You need help? He paused. It's just a stomach bug. I've got it. I know you do, but if you need anything, I'll let you know. He drove to the school, signed Jamie out, and brought him home. The kid was pale and miserable, curled up in the passenger seat with his head against the window. My stomach hurts, Dad. I know, bud. We'll get you home. At the house, Caleb set Jamie up on the couch with a blanket, a bucket, and the TV remote. He made toast and ginger ale, the same thing his own mother used to give him when he was sick. Jamie picked at the toast. Can we watch cartoons? Whatever you want. The kid fell asleep 20 minutes later and Caleb sat in the chair across from him, watching his son's chest rise and fall. 7 years old, still so small, still his whole world. His phone buzzed, a text from Serena. Is he okay? Caleb typed back. Yeah, just needs rest. Let me know if you need anything. He stared at the message. Nobody had offered to help in a long time. People in town were kind, but they kept their distance. The widower and his kid. Sad but functional. Best left alone. Serena didn't leave him alone, and he didn't know what to do with that. Jamie was better by Wednesday, and Caleb brought him back to the lake house after school. The kid had been asking about the frogs non-stop, and Caleb figured a couple hours by the water would do him good. Serena met them outside. She'd pulled her hair back in a messy bun, and there was paint on her hands. Painting? Caleb asked. Trying to. The kitchen was this awful yellow. I'm making it worse. Jamie giggled. You think that's funny? Serena said, grinning. Come see. She led them inside, and Caleb stopped in the doorway. The kitchen walls were half covered in a soft gray that actually looked decent, but her technique was a disaster. Streaks everywhere, drips on the floor, a roller stuck to the ceiling. Okay, Caleb said. That's bad. I told you. You ever painted before? Does a college dorm room count? Not even a little. Jamie tugged on Serena's sleeve. Can I help? You want to? The kid nodded eagerly. Caleb sighed. All right, but we're doing it right. He spent the next 2 hours teaching them both how to cut in edges, roll without streaking, and not drip paint on hardwood floors. Jamie took it seriously, tongue poking out in concentration as he worked a small brush along the baseboard. Serena was less careful, but more determined, refusing to stop until the wall looked smooth. You're kind of a perfectionist, Caleb said. You're just noticing? I'm slow. She laughed. No, you're not. You just pretend to be. By the time they finished, the kitchen looked good, really good. Serena stood back, hands on her hips, and smiled. We did that. You sound surprised, Caleb said. I am. I haven't built anything in years, just managed people who built things. This is better. Yeah, she said quietly. It is. Jamie tugged on Caleb's arm. Can we look for frogs now? Go ahead, stay where I can see you. The boy ran outside and Caleb started cleaning brushes in the sink. Serena stood beside him, washing paint off her hands. Thank you, she said. For what? For letting me be part of this. Your life. Jamie, she paused. It's the most normal I've felt in months. You're welcome here any time. I know. That's what scares me. He turned off the water. Why? Because I'm not staying, Caleb. I can't. Eventually I'll have to go back and deal with all of it. So deal with it from here. It doesn't work like that. Why not? She dried her hands on a towel. Because running a company, fighting lawsuits, rebuilding a reputation, it all happens in the city, in boardrooms, in courtrooms, not in a lake town where the biggest crisis is a broken deck. You think this place is too small for you? I think this place is too good for me. That's bullshit. She looked at him, startled. You didn't do anything wrong, Caleb said. You reported a crime. You got punished for it. That's not your fault. Then whose fault is it? The people who lied. The people who chose power over the truth.
But not you. Her eyes were bright. You don't know what it's like.
You're right. I don't. I've never run a company. I've never had that kind of money or power or pressure, but I know what it's like to lose everything. And I know what it's like to convince yourself you don't deserve better. And how'd that work out for you? Not great, he admitted. But I'm trying. She swallowed. So am I. Outside, Jamie shrieked with laughter. They both turned to see him holding a tiny frog, triumphant. I got one! Serena smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. Bashanam. That night, Caleb couldn't sleep. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything she'd said. About leaving, about going back. He'd known from the start this was temporary. She had a life somewhere else. A big, complicated, expensive life that didn't include him or Jamie or a half-finished deck on a quiet lake. But knowing it didn't make it easier. Around midnight, his phone buzzed, a text from Serena. You awake? He typed back. Yeah, can't sleep. Me neither. There was a long pause, then, Can I call you? His chest tightened. Sure. The phone rang a second later. Hey, she said. Hey. I'm sorry about earlier. I didn't mean to. You don't have to apologize. I do. You were being kind and I threw it back in your face. You were being honest. Same thing sometimes. He heard her breathe. I don't know what I'm doing, Caleb. I came here to disappear, and instead I'm painting kitchens and chasing frogs and what? And feeling things I shouldn't feel. His heart was pounding. Like what? She didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice was barely a whisper. Like maybe I don't want to leave. He closed his eyes. Serena, I know. I know it's not fair. You have a life. A kid. You don't need someone like me showing up and complicating things. You're not complicating anything. Yes, I am. Then maybe I don't mind. Silence. Caleb, I'm a mess. My life is a disaster. I have lawsuits, enemies, a reputation that's already destroyed. If I stay, if we what? If we do this, you'll get dragged into it. The media, the lawyers, all of it. I don't care. You should. Why? Because you deserve better than someone who's broken. So do you. She let out a shaky breath. I don't know how to do this. Do what? Let someone in. Then start small, he said. Come over tomorrow. Have dinner with me and Jamie. No pressure. Just food. Caleb, just say yes. Another long pause. Okay. She showed up at 6 with a bottle of wine and a loaf of bread from the bakery in town. She looked nervous. Jamie opened the door. Hi, Serena. Hey, Jamie, I brought bread. Cool, Dad's making spaghetti. She stepped inside and Caleb saw her take in the house. It was small, cluttered, pictures of his wife still on the walls because he hadn't figured out how to take them down. It wasn't much, but it was his. Sorry about the mess, he said. It's not messy, it's lived in. That's a nice way of saying messy, she smiled. I like it. Dinner was simple. Spaghetti, garlic bread, salad from a bag. Jamie talked nonstop about school, frogs, and a kid named Marcus who could burp the alphabet. Serena listened like it was the most fascinating thing she'd ever heard. After Jamie went to bed, Caleb and Serena sat on the porch with the wine. The night was cool and clear, stars scattered across the sky like salt. Your son is wonderful, she said. He likes you. I like him too. He doesn't warm up to people easily, not since... He stopped. Since his mom died. Yeah. It's hard for kids, Serena said. Losing someone like that. My dad died when I was 9, heart attack. One day he was there, the next he wasn't. I'm sorry. It's been a long time, but I still remember what it felt like the world just stopped making sense. That's exactly what it's like. They sat in silence for a while, passing the bottle back and forth. Can I ask you something? She said. Sure. Do you ever feel guilty for moving on? Caleb looked at the stars. Every day. Does it get easier? I don't know yet. She leaned back in her chair. My therapist says I have a guilt complex, that I take on responsibility for things I can't control. You see a therapist? Used to, before everything fell apart. She was good. Told me I needed to stop trying to fix everyone else and start fixing myself. Did you? No. She laughed softly. I fired her and worked harder. How'd that go? I lost my company, my reputation, and most of my friends, so not great. But you still think you could have fixed it? I know I could have, if I'd just been smarter, faster, better. Or maybe, Caleb said, it wasn't yours to fix. She looked at him. You really believe that? I'm trying to. They stayed out there until the wine was gone and the stars started to fade. When Serena finally stood to leave, Caleb walked her to her car. Thank you for tonight, she said. Anytime. I mean it. What you're doing, it means more than you know. I'm not doing anything. Yes, you are. You're letting me be human again. She reached out and touched his hand. Just for a second. Then she got in her car and drove away. Caleb stood in the driveway long after her taillights disappeared, trying to convince himself he wasn't already in too deep. What? The deck was finished on Friday. Caleb stood back and looked at it, hands on his hips. It was solid, level, built to last. One of the best jobs he'd done in years. Serena came outside and stood beside him. It's beautiful. It'll hold. I know it will. They stood there, not saying what they were both thinking. The job was done. There was no reason for him to come back. I could check the railing in a few weeks, Caleb said. Make sure everything's settling right. You don't have to. I know. She turned to him. Caleb, I need to tell you something. His stomach dropped. Okay. I got a call from my lawyer yesterday. The board wants to settle. That's good, right? It's complicated. They'll drop the charges, pay out my contract, and sign an NDA. But I have to agree never to talk about what happened, never to work in the industry again. That's insane. That's leverage. You're not actually considering it. I don't know. Part of me just wants it over, to take the money and disappear. And the other part? The other part wants to fight, to make them pay for what they did. So fight. It's not that simple. Why not? Because if I fight, I lose everything. The money, the settlement, any chance of moving on. And I drag everyone around me into it, including you. I told you I don't care. You should, because if this goes public, they'll dig into every part of my life, everyone I know, everyone I care about. He understood what she was saying. You think they'd come after me? I think they'd come after anyone who makes me look sympathetic. A widowed carpenter with a kid? That's a great story. They'd twist it, use it, destroy it. Let them try. Caleb, you don't know these people. And you don't know me. She stepped closer. Yes, I do. You're good. Honest. You build things that last. You love your son more than anything in the world, and you deserve a life that doesn't involve corporate warfare and media circuses. What about what you deserve? I don't know anymore. He wanted to kiss her, wanted to pull her close and tell her everything would be okay. But he didn't, because she was right. He didn't know her world, didn't know how to fight battles without blueprints. What are you going to do? He asked. I'm meeting with my lawyer on Monday. I'll decide then. And after? I don't know. You could stay. She looked at him, eyes bright. I don't think I can. Why not? Because us, it's not real. It's just two broken people hiding from their lives. That's not true, isn't it? He didn't have an answer for that. She touched his face, just once, her hand warm against his cheek. Thank you, Caleb, for everything. Then she turned and walked back into the house. And he stood there on the deck he'd built, wondering if he'd just lost something he never really had. Oh, Saturday was a blur. Jamie had a soccer game, and Caleb stood on the sidelines with the other parents, cheering when he was supposed to, but his mind was somewhere else. On Serena. On the way she'd looked at him. On the choice she had to make. After the game, he took Jamie for ice cream. The kid got chocolate with sprinkles and talked about the goal he almost made. Dad, you're not listening. Sorry, bud. What? I said, do you think Serena will come watch my next game? Caleb's chest tightened. I don't know. She might be busy. But she likes soccer. I told her about it. I know. So can you ask her? We'll see. Jamie frowned. You always say that when the answer is no. That's not true. Yeah, it is. The kid was too smart for his own good. That night, after Jamie was asleep, Caleb sat on his porch and stared at his phone. He typed out a message to Serena 3 times and deleted it every time. Finally, he just wrote, "Good luck on Monday." She responded an hour later. "Thank you." Nothing else. He put the phone down and looked at the stars. Somewhere across the lake, she was looking at the same sky, thinking about the same impossible choice. And Caleb realized that no matter what she decided, he was going to lose her, because she was never his to begin with. Sunday morning, he took Jamie to the diner for breakfast. The place was packed with the after-church crowd, and they had to wait 20 minutes for a table. Jamie ordered pancakes. Caleb got coffee and eggs he didn't touch. "You okay, Dad?" "Yeah, just tired." "You've been tired a lot." "I know." "Is it because of Serena?" Caleb looked at his son. "Why would you think that?" "Because you're sad when you talk about her." "I'm not sad." "Yes, you are." The kid was 7. How did he see so much? "It's complicated, Jamie. Do you like her?" "Yeah, I do." "Does she like you?" "I think so." "Then why are you sad?" "Because sometimes liking someone isn't enough." Jamie frowned. "That's dumb." "Maybe." "Mom wouldn't think it's dumb." Caleb's throat closed. "What?" "Mom, she always said if you love someone, you should tell them, because you never know how much time you have." He stared at his son, the small, wise person who shouldn't have to understand loss the way he did. "You're right," Caleb said quietly. "She did say that. So you should tell Serena." "It's not that simple." "Yes, it is." Maybe it was. Bombed. That afternoon, Caleb drove to the lake house. He didn't call first, didn't plan what he was going to say. He just went. Serena's car was in the driveway. He knocked on the door. She answered, surprised. "Caleb, what are you—" "I need to say something." "Okay." "I know you have to make a choice about the lawsuit, the settlement, all of it. And I know I don't fit into any version of your life that makes sense." "Caleb, but I also know that I haven't felt this way about anyone since my wife died, and I don't want to let that go without at least telling you." She stared at him. "I'm not asking you to stay," he continued. "I'm not asking you to give up your fight or your future or anything else. I just need you to know that whatever you decide, you're not alone. Not unless you want to be." Serena's eyes were wet. "I don't know what to say." "Then don't say anything. Just think about it." He turned to leave. "Caleb, wait." He stopped. She crossed the space between them and kissed him. It wasn't soft or tentative. It was desperate and honest and full of everything they'd been holding back for weeks. When she pulled away, she was crying. "I don't want to hurt you." "Then don't. It's not that simple." "It could be." She pressed her forehead against his. "I'm scared." "Me too." They stood there, holding each other, two people who'd forgotten how to hope, trying to remember what it felt like. And for the first time in 3 years, Caleb thought maybe, just maybe, it was worth the risk. Serena pulled back first, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. She looked at Caleb like she was trying to memorize his face. "I have to go to the city tomorrow," she said. "The meeting with my lawyer is at 10. "I know. I don't know what I'm going to decide." "That's okay." "Is it?" Her voice cracked. "Because it doesn't feel okay. It feels like I'm about to ruin everything." Caleb touched her face. "You're not ruining anything. You're just trying to survive." "I'm so tired of surviving." "Then stop. Start living." She laughed, but it came out broken. "You make it sound easy." "It's not, but it's better than the alternative." She leaned into his hand. "Stay for a while?" "Yeah." They went inside. The house felt different now, less like a hiding place and more like somewhere that mattered. They sat on the couch, close but not touching, and talked about nothing important. Movies they'd seen, books they'd read, Jamie's terrible jokes. It was the kind of conversation people had when they were trying not to think about tomorrow. Around 8, Caleb's phone rang. Jamie's number. "Hey, bud?" "Dad, where are you?" The kid sounded worried. "I'm at Serena's. I'll be home soon." "Mrs. Chen said you'd be back by 7. Caleb had completely forgotten he'd asked his neighbor to watch Jamie. "I'm sorry, I lost track of time." Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He hung up and looked at Serena. I have to go. I know. At the door, she caught his hand. Caleb? Yeah? Thank you for coming over, for saying what you said. I meant it. I know you did. That's what makes this so hard. He kissed her forehead and left before he could say something that would make it harder for both of them. Monday morning came too fast. Caleb dropped Jamie at school and went to his workshop, but he couldn't focus. He kept checking his phone, waiting for a message that didn't come. Serena was probably already on the road, driving toward a meeting that would decide everything. Around noon, he gave up on work and drove to the diner. He ordered coffee and sat in a booth by the window, watching cars pass. His phone buzzed. A text from Serena. In the lawyer's office. Wish me luck. He typed back, you don't need luck, you've got the truth. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then, I hope that's enough. He stared at the screen, willing her to be okay. The waitress refilled his coffee. You all right, hun? Yeah, just waiting on some news. Good news or bad news? Don't know yet. She patted his shoulder. Well, I'll say a little prayer for you. Thanks. He didn't believe in prayer anymore, but he appreciated the sentiment. The hours crawled. He went home, picked up Jamie from school, made dinner. The kid chattered about his day, and Caleb nodded in the right places, but his mind was somewhere else. By 8, there was still no word from Serena. He put Jamie to bed and sat on the porch with his phone in his hand, staring at it like he could will it to ring. At 9:30, it finally did. Serena? Hey. Her voice sounded hollow. What happened? They offered me $12 million and a full NDA. My lawyer thinks I should take it. What do you think? I think $12 million is a lot of money. That's not what I asked. She was quiet for a long time. I think if I take it, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering if I should have fought. Then fight. It's not that simple, Caleb. If I turn this down, they'll drag me through court for years. They'll dig up every mistake I've ever made. They'll paint me as vindictive, unstable, desperate, and they'll win because they have more money and more power and more friends in high places. So let them try. You don't understand. You're right, I don't. But I understand you, and I know you didn't come all the way out here to give up. I'm not giving up. I'm being realistic. Realistic or scared? She sucked in a breath. That's not fair. Maybe not, but it's true. Silence on the other end. I have to give them an answer by Wednesday, she said finally. Okay. I'm staying in the city tonight. I need to think. Do what you need to do. Caleb, it's fine, Serena, really. But it wasn't fine, and they both knew it. Tuesday was the longest day of Caleb's life. He worked on a cabinet repair for a client in town, but his hands felt clumsy and his measurements were off. He redid the same cut 3 times before giving up and calling it a day. At home, Jamie asked about Serena. Is she coming over soon? I don't know, bud. Why not? She's dealing with some stuff. What kind of stuff? Grown-up stuff. Jamie frowned. That's a dumb answer. Yeah, well, I don't have a better one. The kid went back to his homework, but Caleb could see the disappointment on his face. Jamie had gotten used to Serena being around, had started to expect her. And now Caleb had to figure out how to explain that she might not come back. That night, Serena called again. I'm coming home tomorrow, she said. Home. The word hit him hard. Okay. I made a decision. Yeah? I'm turning down the settlement. His heart stopped. Serena, I know what you're going to say, that it's risky, that I could lose everything, but I can't take their money and pretend this didn't happen. I can't let them win. What are you going to do? I'm going public. I've been keeping records this whole time, emails, financial statements, meeting notes. I'm giving everything to a journalist I trust. Let them try to spin it when the evidence is out there. They'll come after you. I know. They'll destroy you. They already did. I'm just returning the favor. He leaned back in his chair. You're sure about this? No, but I'm doing it anyway. Then I'm with you. Caleb, you don't have to eat. I know I don't, but I am. She was quiet for a moment. I'll be back tomorrow night. Can I see you?
Yeah, come to the house. Have dinner with us. Okay. Serena? Yeah? I'm proud of you. Her voice broke. Don't be. Not yet.
Wednesday afternoon, Caleb cleaned the house. He vacuumed, did dishes, wiped down counters. Jamie watched him with suspicion. Why are you cleaning? Because the place is a mess. It's always a mess. Well, today it's not. Is Serena coming over? Yeah. Jamie grinned. I knew it. Go do your homework. I already did it. Then go do it again. The kid laughed and ran upstairs. Serena arrived at 6. She looked exhausted, but there was something different in her eyes. Something harder. Jamie launched himself at her. Serena, she caught him laughing. Hey, kiddo, miss me? Yeah, Dad made spaghetti again. He's really into spaghetti, huh? It's the only thing I can't screw up, Caleb said from the kitchen. She set Jamie down and walked over. Caleb wanted to pull her close, kiss her, ask if she was okay. But Jamie was right there, watching with the sharp eyes of a kid who noticed everything. You look tired, Caleb said. I am. Did you do it? This morning. I met with the journalist, gave her everything. When does the story run? Friday. She wanted to verify the documents first. And your lawyer? Furious. Said I just committed professional suicide. You think he's right? She looked at him. Probably. They ate dinner. Serena was quiet, pushing food around her plate while Jamie talked about soccer practice and a substitute teacher who let them watch a movie instead of doing math. After, Caleb sent Jamie upstairs to get ready for bed. He and Serena stood in the kitchen, washing dishes side by side. I'm scared, she said quietly. I know. What if this doesn't work? What if they bury the story or twist it? Then you fight harder. She set down the dish she was holding. I don't know if I have it in me. Yes, you do. How do you know? Because you're here. Because you didn't take the easy way out. She turned to face him. This isn't easy, Caleb. None of this is easy. I didn't say it was. Then what are you saying? I'm saying you're stronger than you think, and you're not alone. Her eyes filled. I don't deserve you. Stop saying that. It's true. No, it's not. You deserve someone who sees you, who believes in you, who doesn't run when things get hard. And you're that person? I'm trying to be. She kissed him, slow and desperate and full of everything they couldn't say. When she pulled back, her hands were shaking. I should go. Stay. Caleb, I'm not asking for anything. Just stay, please. She looked toward the stairs where Jamie was probably listening through the door. I can sleep on the couch, she said. You can have my bed. I'll take the couch. That's ridiculous. So is you driving home this late? She smiled, barely. Okay. He gave her a shirt and a pair of sweatpants that were way too big. She changed in the bathroom while he made up the couch with an old blanket and a pillow that smelled like detergent. Jamie appeared at the top of the stairs in his pajamas. Is Serena sleeping over? Yeah. Like a sleepover? Something like that. The kid grinned. Cool. Go to bed, Jamie. Can Serena say goodnight? Caleb looked at her. She nodded. Sure. Serena went upstairs and Caleb heard their voices through the door. Jamie's excited chatter, Serena's soft laugh, the sound of a story being read. It felt so normal, so right, that it made his chest ache. When she came back down, her eyes were red. He's a good kid. Yeah. He asked if I was staying for good. Caleb's throat tightened. What did you say? I said I didn't know, but I hoped so. Do you? She sat on the couch. I don't know what happens next, Caleb. Once that story runs, my life is going to explode. There'll be interviews, depositions, maybe a trial. It's going to be a circus. So we deal with it. It's not your fight. It is now. She shook her head. You can't just decide that. Watch me. Caleb, I'm serious. If you're with me, they'll come after you too. They'll dig into your life, your past. Jamie, let them. You don't mean that. Yes, I do. Because I'm not losing you over something I can't control. She stared at him. You're insane. Probably. She laughed, but it turned into a sob.
He pulled her close, and she buried her face in his chest. "I'm so tired," she whispered. "I know. I don't want to do this alone." "You're not."
They stayed like that for a long time. Eventually, her breathing evened out and she fell asleep against him. Caleb carefully shifted her onto the couch, covered her with the blanket, and sat in the chair across from her watching. She looked younger when she slept, less guarded, more like the person she might have been before everything went wrong. He stayed there until dawn, unable to look away. Thursday morning, Serena woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of Jamie laughing in the kitchen. She sat up, disoriented, and saw Caleb standing at the stove, flipping pancakes while his son sat at the table drawing. "Morning," Caleb said. "Morning." Her voice was rough. "What time is it?" 7? "I should go. Stay for breakfast." "Caleb, please." She looked at Jamie, who was watching her with wide, hopeful eyes. "Okay." They ate together, pancakes and bacon and orange juice. Jamie told terrible knock-knock jokes. Serena laughed at all of them. Caleb watched them both and felt something unfamiliar settle in his chest. Peace. After breakfast, Caleb drove Jamie to school while Serena cleaned up. When he got back, she was standing on the porch with her keys in her hand. "I have to go," she said. "The journalist wants to do a follow-up call this afternoon." "Okay, but I'll come back after, if that's all right." "It's more than all right." She kissed him, quick and soft. "Thank you, Caleb, for everything." "Stop thanking me. I mean it." "I know, but you don't owe me anything." She touched his face. "Yes, I do." Then she got in her car and drove away. Caleb stood in the driveway watching her go, trying not to think about what Friday would bring. Whoop. The story broke at 6 a.m. on Friday. Caleb woke to his phone buzzing nonstop. Texts from people he hadn't talked to in years. Emails from reporters asking for comment. A voicemail from a producer at some cable news show. He ignored all of it and went straight to the article. The headline read, "CEO exposes massive data fraud after being forced out of her own company." The journalist had done her job. Every detail was there. The illegal data sales, the cover-up, the board's betrayal, Serena's evidence. It was damning, thorough, and impossible to ignore. His phone rang. "Serena, did you see it?" "Yeah. It's everywhere. Every major outlet picked it up." "That's good, right?" "I don't know. My lawyer's phone has been ringing nonstop. The board released a statement calling me a disgruntled former employee. They're threatening to sue me for defamation. Can they do that?" "They can try, but the evidence is solid. They're just scrambling." "What do you need?" "I don't know. I'm supposed to do an interview with a national news show tonight. My lawyer thinks it's a bad idea, but the journalist says it'll control the narrative." "What do you think?" "I think I'm terrified." "Then don't do it." "If I don't, they win." "Serena, I have to, Caleb. This is my one shot to tell the truth." He closed his eyes. "Okay, then do it. But let me be there." "You can't. It's in the city, and you have Jamie." "I'll find someone to watch him." "Caleb, you don't have to." "I know I don't, but I'm not letting you do this alone." She was quiet. Then, "Okay." Caleb called his neighbor, Mrs. Chen, who agreed to watch Jamie for the night. He packed a bag, told his son he'd be back tomorrow, and drove 2 hours to the city. Serena met him outside the studio. She was wearing a dark blazer and her hair was pulled back. She looked polished and professional, but her hands were shaking. "You came." "I said I would." She threw her arms around him. "Thank you. You ready?" "No." "You're going to do great." "You don't know that." "Yeah, I do." They went inside. The studio was chaos. Producers rushing around, cameras being adjusted, lights being tested. Serena was led to a chair on a small set while someone clipped a microphone to her jacket. Caleb stood off to the side, out of the way. The interviewer was a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and an even sharper voice. She didn't waste time on pleasantries. "Ms. Vale, thank you for being here." "Thank you for having me." "Let's get right to it. You're accusing some very powerful people of criminal activity. Are you prepared for the consequences?" Serena didn't blink. "I've already faced the consequences. I lost my company, my reputation, and almost everything I worked for. But I'm not going to lose my integrity."
Your former colleagues say you're lying, that you're a disgruntled employee trying to get revenge. They can say whatever they want. The evidence speaks for itself. And if they sue you, then I'll see them in court. The interview went on for 20 minutes. Serena was calm, precise, unshakable. She didn't get defensive, didn't dodge questions, just told the truth. When it was over, the producer thanked her and she walked off the set. Caleb met her in the hallway. How'd I do? You were perfect. I almost threw up twice. Couldn't tell. She leaned against the wall. Is it over? Not even close. I know. She looked at him. But at least I'm not alone. He kissed her, right there in the hallway with producers and crew members walking past. He didn't care. When they pulled apart, she was smiling. Take me home? Yeah. They drove back to the lake in silence. Serena rested her head against the window, watching the city fade into trees. When they pulled into her driveway, she didn't move. You okay? Caleb asked. I don't know. Ask me tomorrow. Come stay at my place tonight. Caleb, I'm not asking, I'm telling. She laughed. Bossy. Practical. She followed him back to his house. Mrs. Chen had already left, and Jamie was asleep upstairs. Caleb made tea, and they sat on the couch, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her. What happens now? She asked. We wait, see how the story plays out. And if it doesn't work, then we figure out plan B. You keep saying we. That's because it is. She turned to look at him. I'm falling in love with you. His heart stopped. Serena, I know it's fast, I know it's messy, but I can't help it. He cupped her face. I'm already there. She kissed him. Not desperate this time, just sure. And for the first time in weeks, maybe months, they both stopped running. They fell asleep on the couch, tangled together under an old quilt that smelled like fabric softener and years of use. Caleb woke first, his neck stiff from the angle, Serena's hair tickling his chin. The morning light came through the window, soft and gray, and for a moment he just lay there, feeling her breathe against him. Then his phone buzzed on the coffee table. He reached for it carefully, trying not to wake her. 23 missed calls, 47 text messages. His email was a disaster. What is it? Serena's voice was thick with sleep. Your interview went viral. She sat up, rubbing her eyes. Good viral or bad viral? Hard to say. People are talking. A lot. She took the phone from him and scrolled through. Her expression didn't change, but he saw her jaw tighten. The board released another statement. They're calling me unstable, emotionally compromised. That's bullshit. Doesn't matter. People will believe it. Not everyone. She handed back the phone. 3 of my former employees just posted on social media supporting the board. People I hired. People I trusted. They're scared. They're cowards. Caleb pulled her close. What do you need? I need this to be over. It's just starting. I know. She pressed her face into his shoulder. That's what scares me. Upstairs, they heard Jamie's door open, then small footsteps on the stairs. Dad? Caleb pulled back. Yeah, bud? Jamie appeared in the doorway, rubbing his eyes. He stopped when he saw Serena. Did you have another sleepover? Something like that, Caleb said. The kid grinned and climbed onto the couch between them. Can we have pancakes again? Serena laughed. You really like pancakes. They're the best. He's not wrong, Caleb said. They made breakfast together. Jamie chattered nonstop about a dream he'd had involving dinosaurs and a spaceship. Serena listened like it was the most important thing she'd ever heard, asking questions, laughing at the right parts. Caleb watched them and felt something shift in his chest. This felt real, solid, like something that could last. After breakfast, Serena's phone rang. She looked at the screen and her face went pale. It's my lawyer. She stepped outside to take the call. Caleb sent Jamie upstairs to get dressed and stood at the window, watching her pace the driveway. Her free hand was in her hair. She was shaking her head. When she came back in, she looked shaken. They're filing a defamation suit. $50 million. Caleb felt his stomach drop. Can they do that? They can file whatever they want. Whether it sticks is another question. What does your lawyer say? He says we have a strong defense, but it's going to be expensive, long, ugly. How expensive?
More than I have left. He sat down at the table. So what are you going to do? I don't know. My lawyer wants to countersue, go after them for wrongful termination, emotional distress, the whole thing, but that just drags it out longer. Maybe that's what you need to do. I'm tired of fighting, Caleb. I know, but you can't stop now. Why not? Because if you do, they win, and you'll spend the rest of your life regretting it. She sat across from him. What if I lose anyway? Then at least you tried. That's not very comforting. It's the truth. She looked at him for a long moment. How do you do it? Do what? Stay so steady, even when everything's falling apart. I don't. I just fake it better than most people. I don't believe that. Believe what you want. She reached across the table and took his hand. I'm glad you're here. Me too. Jamie came downstairs wearing mismatched socks and a shirt on backward. Dad, can Serena come to my soccer game today? Caleb looked at Serena. You up for it? Yeah, I'd like that. Yeah. The soccer field was packed with parents and siblings and the kind of casual chaos that came with 7-year-olds playing sports. Jamie's team wore bright green jerseys that were too big on most of them. Caleb set up a folding chair on the sideline while Serena stood beside him, hands in her pockets. I've never been to a kid's soccer game before, she said. You're not missing much. They mostly just run in circles. Sounds perfect. The game started and Jamie was everywhere at once, running after the ball with more enthusiasm than skill. He fell twice, got back up both times, and nearly scored once before kicking it to the wrong goal. Serena cheered louder than anyone. Come on, Jamie, you've got this. Caleb looked at her. You're really into this. He's trying so hard. How can I not be? At halftime, Jamie ran over, sweaty and grinning. Did you see? I almost scored. You were amazing, Serena said. Really? Really. He hugged her, quick and impulsive, then ran back to his team. Serena stood there, looking stunned. You okay? Caleb asked. Yeah, that just... She stopped. That meant a lot. He likes you. I like him too. I can tell. She looked at him. Is this crazy? Us? Probably. But you're doing it anyway. Yeah. Why? Because I haven't felt this alive in 3 years, and I'm not ready to give that up. She kissed him, right there on the sideline with half the town watching. Someone whistled. A couple of parents clapped. Caleb pulled back, embarrassed. Everyone staring. Let them. The second half started, and Jamie's team lost by 2 goals, but the kid didn't care. He ran off the field still grinning, and Caleb bought him a snow cone from the concession stand. On the way home, Jamie fell asleep in the back seat, his face sticky with blue syrup. Serena turned to look at him. He's a good kid. He is. You've done a good job with him. I'm doing my best. It's more than that. He's happy, confident. He knows he's loved. Caleb's throat tightened. His mom did most of that. I'm just trying not to screw it up. You're not screwing anything up. You don't know that. Yes, I do. They drove in silence for a while. Then Serena said, I'm going to fight them. Caleb glanced at her. The board? Yeah, I'm going to countersue. Go after them for everything they did to me. That's going to take years. I know. And cost a fortune. I know that too. So why do it? Because I don't want Jamie growing up thinking it's okay to let bullies win. Caleb smiled. He's my kid, not yours. I know, but maybe he could be. The words hung in the air between them. Serena, I'm not saying now, I'm just saying maybe, someday. He reached over and took her hand. I'd like that. The next week was brutal. The board's lawsuit hit the news hard. Every outlet picked it up. Serena's face was everywhere. Cable news, social media, tabloid websites. People she'd never met had opinions about her character, her motives, her sanity. The comments section was a nightmare. She's just bitter. She probably deserved to get fired. Why should we believe her over them? Caleb wanted to throw his phone across the room every time he read one. Serena stopped reading them altogether. It doesn't matter what they think, she said. It matters when they're calling you a liar. Let them. The truth will come out. But the truth was slow. and the lies were fast. On Tuesday, someone leaked Serena's old performance reviews from before everything went wrong. They were glowing, full of praise for her leadership and vision. But the board's PR team spun it as proof she'd been too arrogant, too confident, unwilling to take criticism. On Thursday, 3 more former employees came forward supporting Serena's claims. They had emails, meeting notes, proof that the CFO had been running illegal deals for years. The board called them disgruntled, said they were being paid off. On Friday, Serena got a call from a major law firm offering to take her case pro bono. They specialized in corporate fraud and had a reputation for winning. Why would they do that? Caleb asked. Publicity. If they win, they'll be heroes. If they lose, they tried. You don't sound excited. I am. I'm just tired. Then rest. I can't. My deposition is Monday. Already? They're pushing it through fast, trying to overwhelm me. Caleb set down the sandwich he'd been making. What do you need from me? I need you to tell me I'm doing the right thing. You are. How do you know? Because you're not running anymore. She leaned against the counter. I ran for a long time. After my dad died, I buried myself in work. After my company tanked, I came here. I've been running my whole life. So stop. I'm trying. He crossed the kitchen and pulled her close. You're going to get through this. You keep saying that. Because it's true. She rested her head on his chest. What if it's not? Then we'll deal with it together. The deposition was held in a sterile conference room in the city. Caleb wanted to go with her, but Serena insisted he stay with Jamie, so he spent the day at home pacing, checking his phone every 5 minutes. At 4, she finally called. How'd it go? Awful. They asked me about every decision I ever made, every email I ever sent. They tried to make me look incompetent. Did it work? I don't know. My lawyer says I did fine, but I feel like I screwed up. You didn't. You weren't there. I don't have to be. I know you. She was quiet for a moment. I'm coming over. You don't have to. I need to see you. Okay. She showed up an hour later looking exhausted. Jamie ran to the door to greet her. Serena, Dad said you had a big meeting. I did. Was it boring? Very. That's dumb. Want to see what I built with my Legos? She smiled. Yeah, I do. Jamie dragged her upstairs, and Caleb heard them talking, his son's excited chatter and her patient responses. When she came back down, she looked a little less wrecked. He built a castle, she said. He's been working on it all week. It's impressive. He gets that from his mom. She was the creative one. Serena sat on the couch. You talk about her like she's still here. Sometimes it feels like she is. Does that bother you? No, but I wonder if it bothers you. Why would it bother me? Because I'm never going to forget her. She's part of who I am, part of who Jamie is. Serena looked at him. I don't want you to forget her. I just want to be part of your life, too. You are. Am I? Or am I just a distraction? Caleb sat beside her. You're not a distraction. He stopped. You're the first person who's made me want something more than just getting through the day. That's not very romantic. It's the truth. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I'm scared, Caleb. Of what? Of losing this. Of everything falling apart and realizing I was just fooling myself. You're not fooling yourself? How do you know? Because I feel it too. They sat in silence, Jamie's footsteps thumping around upstairs. The house smelled like dinner, something burning in the oven that Caleb had forgotten about. He jumped up, swearing, and pulled out a tray of blackened chicken. Serena laughed. Pizza? Pizza. The following week brought more chaos. The board countered the new law firm's involvement by hiring an even bigger firm. Discovery requests piled up. Serena spent hours every day going through old files, pulling together evidence, preparing for the fight ahead. Caleb helped where he could. He organized documents, made copies, kept her fed when she forgot to eat. Jamie helped too, in his own way, bringing her drawings and asking if she wanted to play cards. One night, after Jamie was in bed, Serena sat at Caleb's kitchen table with her laptop and a stack of papers that seemed to grow every day. I found something, she said.
Caleb looked up from the dishes. Good something or bad something? Good, I think. An email chain between the CFO and one of the board members. They knew about the data sales. They approved them. That's huge. It is. But it's also going to make them fight harder. Let them. She rubbed her eyes. I'm so tired of this. I know. I want it to be over. I want to just live. Without all of this hanging over me. Caleb dried his hands and sat across from her. It will be. Eventually. When? I don't know, but it will. She closed her laptop. Can I ask you something? Sure. If this all goes wrong, if I lose everything, would you still want me? Yes. You didn't even think about it. I didn't have to. Why? Because I'm not with you for your money or your company or any of that. I'm with you because you're stubborn and brave, and you make my kid laugh. She smiled, but her eyes were wet. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. It's true. I love you, Caleb. I love you too. She stood and walked around the table. He pulled her onto his lap and she buried her face in his neck. I don't want to lose this, she whispered. You won't. You can't promise that. Watch me. In early May, the case went to mediation. Both sides agreed to meet with a neutral third party to see if they could reach a settlement without going to trial. Serena's lawyers were cautiously optimistic. The board's lawyers were smug. Caleb drove Serena to the mediation. She was quiet the whole way, staring out the window, her hands clenched in her lap. You're going to do great, he said. You keep saying that. Because I believe it. I wish I did. You will. Once you get in there and remember why you're doing this. The mediation lasted 6 hours. Caleb waited in the parking lot, pacing, drinking bad coffee from a gas station across the street. He checked his phone obsessively. No messages. Finally, at 4:30, Serena walked out. She looked exhausted, but not defeated. What happened? They offered a settlement, $20 million, no admission of guilt, full NDA. I turned it down. Caleb stared at her. Why? Because they wouldn't admit what they did. They wanted to pay me to disappear and pretend none of this happened. $20 million is a lot of money. I don't care. Serena, I know what you're going to say, that I should take it, that it's enough to start over, but it's not about the money, Caleb. It never was. Then what's it about? It's about the truth, and I'm not backing down until they admit it. He pulled her into his arms. Okay. Just okay. Just okay. It's your fight. You get to decide how it ends. She sagged against him. I'm so tired. I know. Come on. Let's go home. They drove back to the lake in silence. Serena fell asleep in the passenger seat, her head against the window. Caleb glanced at her every few minutes, this woman who'd walked into his life 4 months ago and turned everything upside down. He didn't regret a single second of it. When they got back to his house, Jamie was waiting on the porch with Mrs. Chen. How'd it go? The older woman asked. Long, Caleb said. Well, this one's been an angel. We made cookies. Jamie held up a plate. Chocolate chip. Serena smiled. They look perfect. After Mrs. Chen left, the three of them sat on the porch eating cookies and watching the sun set over the lake. Jamie sat between them, swinging his legs, talking about his day. Can Serena live with us? He asked suddenly. Caleb choked on his cookie. What? She's here all the time anyway, and she's nice, and she likes my Legos. Serena laughed. That's very sweet, Jamie. Is that a yes? She looked at Caleb. It's complicated. Why? Because grown-ups make everything complicated, Caleb said. Jamie frowned. That's dumb. Yeah, Serena said. It kind of is. Later, after Jamie was in bed, Caleb and Serena sat on the couch. She had her head in his lap, his hand in her hair. He's right, you know, she said. About what? About me being here all the time. I noticed. Does it bother you? No. Really? Really? I like having you here. Even with all the chaos? Especially with all the chaos. She turned to look up at him. I don't know what happens next. Me neither. But you're okay with that? Yeah, I am. She sat up and kissed him, slow and deep and full of everything they'd been holding back. When she pulled away, she was smiling. I think I might stay. Here? Yeah, at the lake. With you. If you'll have me. Are you serious? I don't know, maybe. Is that crazy? Completely. But I want you to. She laughed. This is insane. Probably. We've only known each other a few months. I know. And I'm in the middle of a lawsuit that could take years. I know that too. And you still want me to stay? Yes. She kissed him again. Okay. Okay? Okay. And just like that, everything changed.
Serena moved into the lake house the following week, but she spent most of her time at Caleb's. Her things migrated slowly. A toothbrush in the bathroom, a laptop on the kitchen table, clothes in the dryer that Caleb would fold and leave on the couch. It wasn't official, wasn't discussed in any formal way, but it was happening. Jamie noticed first. Is Serena your girlfriend now? He asked one morning over cereal. Caleb looked up from his coffee. Why do you ask? Because she's here all the time and you smile more. I smile. Not like that. Serena walked into the kitchen at that exact moment, her hair wet from the shower, wearing one of Caleb's old t-shirts. Not like what? She asked. Jamie grinned. Like you just won the lottery. Jamie, Caleb started. It's okay, Serena said, sitting down. He's right. I do make you smile. You're both very pleased with yourselves. We are, Jamie said. She reached over and stole a piece of his toast. The kid didn't even protest. Later, after Caleb dropped Jamie at school, he and Serena drove to her place to pack up more of her things. The house felt different now, less like a refuge and more like a place she was leaving behind. You sure about this? Caleb asked, loading boxes into his truck. About what? Moving, staying, all of it. She set down the box she was carrying. Are you having second thoughts? No. I just want to make sure you're not running toward me because you're running away from them. I'm not running anymore. You sure? She crossed the driveway and stood in front of him. I've spent my whole life running, Caleb, from my dad's death, from failure, from anything that felt too big to handle. But this, you, Jamie, this life, it doesn't feel like running. It feels like finally standing still. Even with the lawsuit hanging over you? Especially with it, because I'm not facing it alone. He kissed her forehead. Good. They finished loading the truck and drove back to town. On the way, Serena got a call from her lawyer. They want to talk, he said. Off the record. Just you and the board's lead attorney. Why? They didn't say, but my guess? They're getting nervous. About what? The evidence, public opinion, the fact that you won't go away quietly. Serena looked at Caleb. When? Tomorrow, 2:00. I can be there with you. No, if they want to talk off the record, let's see what they have to say. Serena, I don't think... I'll be fine. Just set it up. She hung up. That sounds like a bad idea, Caleb said. Probably. So why do it? Because I want to look them in the eye and hear what they have to say. What if it's a trap? Then I'll deal with it. Serena, I need to do this, Caleb. I need to face them. He didn't argue. He'd learned by now that when she made up her mind, there was no changing it. The meeting was held in a conference room at a hotel in the city. Serena arrived 15 minutes early and sat in the lobby, watching people come and go. Businessmen in suits, tourists with cameras, a couple arguing quietly near the elevators. At 2:00 exactly, a woman in her 50s approached. She was tall, sharp-featured, wearing a gray suit that probably cost more than Caleb's truck. Ms. Vale? That's me? Amanda Cortez, I'm representing the board. They shook hands. Amanda's grip was firm, professional, completely devoid of warmth. Shall we? They went upstairs to a small conference room. Just a table, 4 chairs, a window overlooking the city. Amanda sat across from Serena and folded her hands. Thank you for coming. Your lawyer said you wanted to talk. I do, off the record, as I'm sure he mentioned. I'm listening. Amanda leaned back. You've put my clients in a difficult position, Ms. Vale. Your clients put themselves there. That's a matter of perspective. No, it's a matter of fact. Amanda smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. You're not going to make this easy, are you? Why would I? Because you're smart. And smart people know when to walk away. Serena didn't blink. I've already turned down your settlement offers twice. I know, which is why I'm here, to offer you something better. I'm not interested in money.
I'm not offering money. I'm offering the truth. That got Serena's attention. What truth? Amanda reached into her briefcase and pulled out a folder. She slid it across the table. This is a signed affidavit from the former CFO. He's willing to testify that the board knew about the data sales, that they approved them, that they used you as a scapegoat when things went wrong. Serena opened the folder. The document was there, notarized and dated. Her hand shook as she read it. Why would he do this? Because we convinced him to. The board's falling apart, Ms. Vale. 2 members have already resigned. 3 more are facing federal investigations. They're desperate. So why give this to me? Because my firm doesn't go down with sinking ships. We're cutting ties with the board and offering you this as a gesture of goodwill. Goodwill. Think of it as an apology. Serena set down the folder. What's the catch? No catch. You take this, you win your case, the board collapses. Everyone moves on. And you? We walk away clean. Serena laughed. You're trying to save your own reputation. Naturally. But that doesn't make this any less valuable to you. She looked at the affidavit again. This was it. Everything she needed to bury the people who'd destroyed her. The truth, signed and sealed. I need to think about it. Of course, you have 24 hours. Amanda stood and extended her hand. Serena shook it, still numb. For what it's worth, Amanda said, I think you did the right thing. Coming forward, fighting back. Most people wouldn't have. Most people aren't as stubborn as me. No, they're not. Serena drove straight to Caleb's house. He was in the workshop, sanding a chair leg, sawdust in his hair. She walked in and held up the folder. I have it. He turned off the sander. Have what? Everything. A signed confession from the CFO. Proof that the board knew. Serena, that's huge. I know. So why do you look like someone just died? She sat on his workbench. Because it feels too easy. Like there's something I'm missing. Maybe there's not. Maybe you just won. Maybe. He set down the sandpaper and stood in front of her. Talk to me. I spent months preparing for a fight. Months convincing myself that I had to go to war to get justice. And now they're just handing it to me. So take it. What if it's a trick? Then your lawyer will catch it. But what if it's not? What if this is just them realizing they can't win? She looked at him. You really think it's that simple? I think you've been fighting for so long, you forgot what it feels like to win. She laughed, but it came out shaky. What do I do now? You call your lawyer, you verify that affidavit is real, and then you decide. And if it's real, then you take it and you move on. She slid off the workbench and into his arms. I'm scared. Of what? Of what comes after. I've been so focused on fighting, I haven't thought about what happens if I actually win. You live. You build something new. You figure it out as you go. That easy? No, but nothing worth doing is. But the affidavit was real. Serena's lawyer verified it, had it examined by 3 different experts, cross-referenced every detail. It was airtight. Within a week, the board collapsed. 4 members resigned. 2 were arrested on federal charges. The company's stock tanked. News outlets called it the biggest corporate scandal of the year. Serena's name was cleared. Officially, publicly, completely. She should have felt vindicated, triumphant. Instead, she just felt tired. It's over, she said to Caleb one night, sitting on his porch. How does it feel? Strange. Like I spent so long bracing for impact that I forgot how to relax. You'll figure it out. Will I? Yeah, you will. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I got a call today from a venture capital firm. They want to back me if I start a new company. That's amazing. Is it? You don't sound excited. I don't know if I want to go back to that world. The boardrooms, the investors, the pressure. I don't know if I'm that person anymore. So don't be. Just like that? Just like that? She turned to look at him. What if I stayed here? Really stayed? Bought the lake house, fixed it up, figured out what comes next? I'd like that. You're sure? Serena, I've been sure since the day you kissed me in that driveway. She smiled. That was a good day. It was. I love you, Caleb. I love you too.
By the end of summer, Serena had officially bought the lake house. She hired Caleb to renovate the whole thing: new windows, updated kitchen, a second bathroom, a deck that wrapped all the way around. It became their project, something they built together on weekends while Jamie helped or played by the water. One Saturday in late August, they stood on the finished deck, looking out at the lake. The water was calm, reflecting the sky like glass. Jamie was down at the shore, chasing frogs with a net Serena had bought him. It looks good, Caleb said. It looks perfect. Nothing's perfect. This is close. He put his arm around her. You happy? Yeah, I am. Good. She looked up at him. I've been thinking. About what? About Jamie, about us, about making this official. Official how? I don't know. Maybe moving in for real. Maybe more than that someday. Caleb's chest tightened. You want to be part of this? Really? I already am part of this. I just want to make sure you know I'm not going anywhere. I know. Do you? Yeah, I do. She kissed him, soft and certain, and for the first time in years, Caleb felt something he'd thought he'd lost forever. Hope. In September, Jamie started third grade. Serena drove him to school on the first day because Caleb had an early job. The kid was nervous, fidgeting with his backpack straps. What if nobody likes me? They'll like you. You're great. What if I don't make any friends? Then you'll make them tomorrow, or next week. You don't have to do everything on the first day. He looked at her. Will you pick me up? If you want me to. I do. Then I will. He hugged her before getting out of the car, quick and tight, and ran toward the building. Serena watched him go, her throat tight. That afternoon, she picked him up as promised. He climbed into the car, grinning. I made 2 friends, and we played soccer at recess. That's awesome. And my teacher is really nice. She said we get to do science experiments. Sounds perfect. It was. Thanks for picking me up. Anytime, kiddo. When they got home, Caleb was on the porch waiting. How'd it go? Great, Jamie said, running inside. Serena sat beside Caleb. He asked me to pick him up. I heard. That okay with you? More than okay. She rested her head on his shoulder. I think I'm part of this family now. You've been part of it for a while. Yeah, I guess I have. By October, the lawsuit was officially settled. The board paid Serena a fraction of what they'd originally offered, but it came with a public apology and an admission of wrongdoing. Her reputation was restored. Job offers poured in, speaking requests, book deals. She turned them all down. Instead, she started a consulting firm from the lake house, helping small companies build ethical business practices. It was quieter work, less glamorous, but it felt right. One evening, she and Caleb sat on the deck watching the sunset. Jamie was inside doing homework, his pencil scratching loud through the open window. You ever regret it? Caleb asked. Regret what? Giving up the big career, the city, all of it. She thought about it. No, I spent years chasing something I thought I wanted, money, power, recognition, and I got it, and it nearly destroyed me. So what do you want now? This, you, Jamie, a life that's mine. That's it? That's everything. He pulled her close. You know, 3 years ago, I thought my life was over. I thought I'd just go through the motions until Jamie grew up and I could finally stop pretending. And now? Now I wake up and I'm excited. For work, for breakfast, for whatever comes next. You did that. We did that. Yeah, we did. They sat in silence, the sky turning purple and gold, the lake reflecting colors that would be gone in minutes. Can I ask you something? Serena said. Sure. Do you think your wife would have liked me? Caleb didn't answer right away. He thought about Rachel, her laugh, her stubbornness, the way she'd loved fiercely and without reservation. Yeah, he said finally. I think she would have. Really? She would have liked that you didn't take any shit, that you made Jamie laugh, that you made me remember how to live. Serena's eyes were wet. I wish I could have met her. Me too. Do you still miss her? Every day, but not the way I used to. What changed? I stopped feeling guilty for moving forward. She took his hand. I'm glad you did. Me too. Gone. In November, the first snow came. Not much, just a dusting that covered the deck and made the lake look like a painting. Jamie woke up early, pressed his face to the window, and shouted for Serena. It snowed! Can we build a snowman? She stumbled out of the guest room. She'd started staying over most nights, rubbing her eyes. It's 6 a.m. So? So that's insane. Please? She looked at Caleb, who was leaning in the doorway grinning. Don't look at me. This is all you. Fine, but we're having hot chocolate after. Deal. They spent the morning in the yard building a lopsided snowman with stick arms and rocks for eyes. Jamie insisted on giving it Serena's scarf, which she pretended to protest but secretly loved. Caleb watched from the porch, drinking coffee, feeling something settle in his chest that he thought was gone forever. Contentment. Later, when Jamie was inside warming up, Serena came and sat beside him. Your kid is relentless. I know. I love it.